Welcome everyone to my Year 6 Season 2 overview video. In this video we're going to break down the main points of what's going to be happening in the next season of For Honor. Very happy to mention that this video is also sponsored by CoinGate, which will briefly be mentioned later in the video. So firstly we'll be looking at character nerfs, Pirate, I can already hear some tears of joy. Followed by both the Conqueror and Shaolin Reworks. We'll then be looking at the testing grounds changes coming to guard breaks, and to top it all off we'll finally be having a look at what the new hero might entail. So the Season of the Scarab reveal stream was shown yesterday, which showcased a lot of this information, which I'm aware a lot of people have already reacted to. However, the angle that I'm going to take this from is hopefully going to take some more detail from the actual patch notes as well as give my opinion on what the changes will actually realistically translate to in gameplay. So firstly we have slower side dodges for Pirate, meaning that it will be easier to parry. This change will mainly impact anti-ganking scenarios, whereby the player you are trying to get a hit on can almost continually dodge heavy whilst target stopping, which, although it takes a bit more effort than just dodge heavying attacks, can be a bit annoying to deal with, so it's good that this can now be easily stopped. Pistol Blast having less range on block or miss means that Pirates can't now grab you from really far away, and again from target swapped enemies either, meaning that they are essentially going to have a much harder time getting out of tight situations. And finally, Walk the Plank has a few here. So Walk the Plank also has less range, so immediately Pirate's ganking ability is reduced significantly. As this was a skewer move that pins an enemy, there is now less chance of you not being able to move from a long range attack that you might have a hard time seeing. Then secondly, the knee recovery, being 200 milliseconds slower, basically stops it from being chained into another Walk the Plank for massive damage if the opponent hits a wall, which I believe was probably unintended from the outset, although it was rarely seen or known by the majority of players. Technically, Walk the Plank does have one slight buff, which is a 11 stamina reduction on the Pistol Blast follow-up from the Walk the Plank, but the Pistol Blast follow-up literally does like 3 damage, so nothing to worry about really. And then lastly for Walk the Plank, in line with reducing Pirate's ganking potential, now enemies will be given an extra 25 revenge from a Pistol Blast follow-up, meaning that they can't be pinned for longer periods and have more damage confirmed on them. So basically, to summarise in the easiest way possible, Pirate can't get out of ganks as easily as she could, and she also can't gank and deal as much damage when ganking herself as she once could. So that is that. Before we get into the Conqueror Rework, just want to let you know about our sponsor we have today called CoinGate, and how you can actually use it to purchase Steam gift cards for games like For Honor to buy DLC, hero skins and more to prepare for the new season. Basically, if you use cryptocurrencies, you can exchange them for gift cards to use for Steam, Xbox or PlayStation to make purchases for games and other services too. The great thing about it is that it keeps you completely anonymous online, and you don't even have to use your payment card details on any of the sites that you want to make a purchase. You can use all of the most popular cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum and Litecoin to purchase a coupon for many different categories. You can purchase them for friends and family as well as yourself too, and they are valid in over 70 countries. When you want to spend your cryptocurrency on these gift cards, the only thing you'll need is your email address. You can use my promo code NOVAKING, shown here, to get 3% off of all gift cards. The final two benefits to mention are that by using crypto for gift cards, you can actually save money because there's no exchange or any other tax, and also it's instant delivery as well. So feel free to give CoinGate a go using the link below, and maybe start buying your video games using cryptocurrency online instead. So, you heard me talk about pirate nerfs, but in this next season there might be another hero that's going to take the mantle of haunting your dreams, because from what I've seen so far from Conk and what's written about him, he looks like he's going to be a menace not only in 1v1s, but maybe in 4vs4s as well. There's a lot to go through, but I'm going to do my best to simplify it as much as possible for you, so let's waste no time. Firstly, Conqueror can cancel his attack recovery of any attack with a full block, just like Aramusha or Kyoshin, meaning that he has more tactical defensive abilities after missed or dodged attacks. His full block also doesn't have stamina drain when blocking attacks, just like Kyoshin, so he can take a few hits if ganked before doing his follow-up attack, for example. Now his Flail Uppercut and Light variant, aka the Scootage Collection, these are performed after any superior block, which is just like a deflect, or a shield bash. The light variant attack does, well, it attacks everyone in a 360-degree radius, dealing 15 damage, whereas the Flail Uppercut deals 17 damage solely to the player you attacked. The very noteworthy thing about the fail uppercut is that it can execute, which means that you can actually execute off of a successful bash with a guaranteed 17 damage heavy, which is very, very strong in my view. And not something I think another character has. The closest hero I can think of at the moment is Griffin with a heavy off of a follow-up bash, but this wasn't from neutral, so it's actually weaker than this. They both initiate chains as well, but you can't go straight back into the bash unblockable. Small point on the zone is that it can now only be used to hit once, it can't be looped, but it now does 15 damage and can be chained into other attacks as well, just like other heroes like Orochi. The chained shield bash is slower but feintable. This gives him a 50-50 mix-up ability, which is going to be very difficult to react to and more likely to force players to make the read on what you're going to do. If your opponent has a dodge light or a heavy, then it might be more of a 33-33 read, as you might be able to counter both the GB and bash with it, but we'll have to see how practical this is when live. Chained heavies are always unblockable. We'll have to see how this plays out in reality when it goes live. There may be potential for opponents to light through it, or just react with a parry to interrupt it. But overall, it's nice to at least force some reaction from a player, so that duels become more about reads than blocking, in my opinion. And similarly, the second to last thing is just the infinite chained lights as well. As you can see on screen, it's just basically R1, R1, but if you do the same side light in set one after the other, then it's a little bit slower as well. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. And the last thing is that his neutral heavy openers now do more damage. So overall, personally on paper, he looks like a very strong hero. I think more so in 1 versus 1 rather than group fights, with his many mix-up options, his unblockable pressure, recovery cancels, etc. But still buffed substantially from what he was relative to group fights, and I think overtakes some other heroes strength-wise as well. That he was weaker than before. So now, the Shaolin Rework. I've been looking forward to this for a long time personally, as he's one of my favourite characters. First of all, his QI stance lights are 500 millisecond enhanced lights, meaning that you can keep the pressure on your opponent and flow into more attacks if they choose to block. I think this is a great change actually, as I think that the game needs to have less risk when attacking to avoid, those more boring fights in general. His QI stance heavies are undodgeable and 800 milliseconds as well, which means it's going to be great for punishing dodges. As mentioned in the stream, it's a good idea to do a top undodgeable over side undodgeables, as this also removes the possibility that your enemy will accidentally block the attack from the side. I usually like to do this when using Kyoshin or Black Prior with their unblockable heavies from top for the same reasons, as well as some follow-up lights from top too, to stop an enemy getting an accidental deflect as well. Next thing, Sun Kick chains on this. This is the bash from QI stance, just to remind you. So you can follow up with the light to stop a guard break punish, but it is 100 milliseconds slower, so it can be parried relatively easily if the correct read is made. Now this next update I think is going to be the best part about the Shaolin Rework, and really tones up his QI special ability mix-up potential, as well as making his moveset a lot cooler, as a little bonus there. Basically, sweep is available after any light or heavy in QI stance, including the Sun Kick strike light attack as well. It's feintable too, so they still have to make a read, a bit like I was saying earlier with Conk's feintable bash, which is great for breaking overly defensive play. The sweep can be followed up into a guaranteed 24 damage heavy, which can then be chained into QI stance once again to keep continuing the mix-up. So this really increases his offense an absolute ton, I think, especially when compared to what he has now. I'll be interested to see what the sweep can do in group fights too as well, because if it can knock down multiple enemies at once, then that would make his group fight potential hugely better as well, and much more interesting. Another small point to mention is that he can also go into QI stance from dodge heavies as well, which is going to be great at getting your instant pressure with a multi-option stance from dodging an enemy bash or any attack for that matter. So yeah, he can go into his QI stance from dodge heavies. Next big thing to note is his new move, which is a 500 millisecond front dodge bash that guarantees a top light follow-up and also the triple side light. I think this is a fairly natural iteration for the character, as it gives him another opener, just like it when it was added to Orochi many months ago now. The thing about dodge forward bashes is that when a hero has it, even just dodging forward and doing nothing is a decent move in itself, as you could get a free GB or a parry if they dodge light or heavy, so bear that in mind. Really increases his opening potential in my mind. The triple side lights, by the way, no longer have any strict timings to get them, so you don't have to get that into your muscle memory or worry about that in any way. Just like how Shinobi's Sickle Rain triple lights and Peacekeeper's triple lights were changed as well. Final thing to finish off, which is also probably the simplest change, is that Shaolin's Zone can now be target swapped between its 3 automatic hits to improve its group fights options when outnumbered. And it does more damage as well, being 12, 15 and 18 damage respectively on each of those 3 hits. A lot of people, including myself, thought this testing grounds was actually going to be something to do with Kensei or Warden because of the image that was put next to it on the roadmap, but instead it turned out to be a bit of a red herring, and what we are getting instead is something completely different. The testing grounds will instead be testing how guard breaks can be performed on players when carrying out different moves. I think the slideshow on the stream is all that's needed really, and I won't spend too much to explain it. Basically, in a sentence, you cannot be guard broken when recovering from an attack or whilst within an attack chain. That is what's going to be tested. As far as I'm aware, the changes will be more apparent in group fights, and they will mean that the window for a non-counterable guard break on you, either externally or within lock, will be removed and they will bounce off of you instead. The best example I have to hand is in this clip here, where I throw a neutral starting heavy onto the raider on the floor, and I was going to throw a second heavy in the chain afterwards to do the max punish, but instead I get guard broken by the Kensei behind me in between my chained heavies, meaning that the Kensei can then throw me into the wall freely and kill me instead. So I think it's going to be a great change, as then annoying scenarios like that won't happen. The final point, I think, relates to making dodge lights / heavies more consistent in punishing bash attacks. So I'm assuming this is for heroes like Warlord and Black Prior, who you sometimes dodge light heavy their headbutt or bash, but they can still block it. Then in these changes you will always hit them with the dodge attack and they can't block. As of making this video, I have absolutely no knowledge of exactly what the new hero is going to be, so this next bit is going to be more of an educated guess, speculating what it's going to be from the information Ubisoft have revealed to us so far. Also, I guess a potential spoiler alert, as we will obviously be speculating on the upcoming content, and we may get some, all or none of the details correct, so bear that in mind. So to start with, the most obvious thing is the theme. As per the season title, the Season of the Scarab, combined with the theme music, backgrounds and battle outfits, we can tell that there is going to be an Egyptian theme this season, which would make sense that we then therefore get an Egyptian themed hero. We've also heard about the new outfit for the raider called Bolthorn the Cursed, who I believe stole an Egyptian bracelet and started a curse. So there's that as well. Now, when I saw that the theme of the new season is likely to be Egyptian, I did a bit of research into Egyptian warriors, as you do, and their weapons and armour. And I came across a few interesting things, like the Egyptian khopesh that I thought could be used in a hero, for example. But if you've watched the reveal stream and then the trailer, you may have noticed a few subtle hints as to what the new character could be. Particularly this animation here of the sand around the hands grabbing the bracelet. It looks like on the left here we have the raider which makes sense because of the new hero outfit. But then on the right we have another figure that looks like they're wielding some kind of staff with a semicircular blade on the end. The next thing is, if you watch the trailer all the way to the end, we can actually see a figure's shadow walking towards us, but this time showing the staff with the semicircle at both ends. So there's that. The third time we can see the new hero is for literally a fraction of a second in the middle of the trailer, which I completely missed until rewatching it, but I think is the clearest clip actually of them all. I've slowed it down and looped it in editing so that you can see it easier, and it seems like quite a big giveaway to me. Judging by the hero's build, it looks like they might be male, but that doesn't mean that they might not have a female option too. Also, I'm really hyped for what sort of helms and armour we might get for this new hero. As you can see in this silhouette, it looks like he's got a variant of the classic shaped sort of Egyptian helm like Tutankhamun had in his tomb. And his sort of attire as well, after I googled it, it looks kind of similar to this as well, to give you an idea of what it might look like. So visually that's everything out there as far as I'm aware, but if we do a bit of digging and go into more speculation territory, then this is where it gets a bit interesting. I think we can narrow down what the weapon looks like fairly easily by going back to searching for Egyptian weapons that look like the one in the trailer. So far it looks most like some of the ones here that I believe are called the fan axe, and more specifically the double bladed version, which looks seriously cool, and I can see why it would be chosen as the first Egyptian weapon we've seen in For Honor, just from how unique and different it is to anything else we've seen before in the game. In the stream, however, I noticed that it was also mentioned by Stefan, who's the associate game director, that there is a twist that you will not expect, which kind of made me think that having the double-sided fan axe may not exactly be the full picture.
New armor, new hero. Oh man, we're starting with a new hero. All right. This hero is going to be super fun to play, super fun to watch. I know people are trying to guess the hero and the weapon. Good luck with them. I predict that no one is going to guess it exactly right, because there's a twist that you will not expect.
So I had another look at the trailer and a look at the shadow lined up, and I thought about the way the ground sort of goes up at the sides and the light comes from the front, and that it didn't really look like one single object from certain angles, so that kind of made me think that potentially the weapon could be detachable from a double-edged staff into like two shorter weapons with a fan at each end, perhaps. But yeah, just an idea. Might not be that, as there is also no weapon like that in Egyptian lore that I've seen, and also Ubisoft might want to keep things just like we see them in history. But it would be cool though. I mean, we have a literal pistol added to the game last season, so it wouldn't be totally out of the question. The other thing is that maybe they might want to add some sort of curse or magic ability to the hero that ties in with the lore for the raider outfit with the bracelet. Bit more out there, but could happen. But that leads me on to what the hero could be classed as next. Now, if we are fairly certain it's going to be some variation of the Egyptian fan axe that I've mentioned, then I'd be inclined to think it's going to be more of a heavy character, which would probably include some hyper armor in its moveset. It doesn't have a shield or a buckler like Gladiator or anything like that, so if it is a heavy, then it's potentially not going to be as tanky as something like Warlord or Conqueror, which could be a good thing. I feel like it could easily be a hybrid of sorts, as it's got potentially a very unique weapon. Being an axe, it could be branded as a heavy hitting hero, but at the same time, as it's double-sided, it could also be used as quite a fast weapon, a bit like kind of Darth Maul from Star Wars, to be honest, or something. It doesn't seem like the kind of weapon you deflect with, so I'd personally be surprised if it turned out to be an assassin character, but you know, I wouldn't complain. As you probably know, I normally opt for those sorts of heroes. The last option is a Vanguard, of course, but again, I'm swayed with what most of the evidence sort of suggests to us about his weapon potentially being this double-bladed fan axe. With the Vanguards, they normally have fairly conventional weapons like Warden's Longsword, Raider's Great Axe, etc. I feel like it's too unorthodox and different to be put in that category. So overall, I'd expect it to be a hybrid, most likely. In terms of the new heroes subtype, looking at the last two heroes we've been given, those being Pirate and Kyoshin, of course, they are both classed as counter-attackers, so I'd say it's less likely we get another counter-attacker in a row, which would reinforce this idea that this Egyptian hero might be more of a big damaging hero or fast attacker that maybe uses some sort of special ability as well. It could end up being something like Highlander or Shaolin with two different stances or something similar, who knows. As for whether they are easy, medium or hard difficulty, personally I hope they are either medium or hard, just so that there's a bit of a longer skill curve to climb rather than the moves being really easy to use. But I can see the benefits of making it easy if that's what it is, by making it more accessible to new players, etc. as well. For comparison, Pirate was actually classed as medium, Kyoshin was hard, and Warmonger and Griffin were both classed as easy. But I would only take these classifications as like an initial guide anyway, with a pinch of salt, so I don't think it's as interesting a point to look at as some of the other ones we've mentioned. Actually, going back to the detachable weapon idea, it could also be connected by some sort of chain in the middle, because, you know, why not? But in any case, I think no matter what we get, it's going to be very different, it's going to be very awesome to use, it's going to be epic. I just can't wait to use it. So if you have got any other ideas yourself, please do put them in the comments. This has ended up being a bit of a different video than normal, so hopefully we'll get some good discussion in the comments about everything, in addition to the new hero speculation. And so it goes without saying, if you did enjoy this video, then please also do leave a like and subscribe if you're new as well. And also don't forget to check out CoinGate, our sponsor today, if you're interested in that too. The link and promo code are there in the description if so. So have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next one.